Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mupo and Friends. We are,
Emanuela Messina,
and I'm Michelle Mupo.
and we're brought to you by Mupo TV.
And you can catch this show and many others at www.mupotv.com, or you can download our app because our app is on Android and iOS. I'm going to repeat that like several times throughout the whole interview because I want everyone to download the app. The thing is, we need to look at Mupo and Friends on Sundays, right? And
Right.
we have more than one show on Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
like on every day, actually. There's about 40 people that have signed up with Mupo Entertainment. Some shows are in pre production, some are out. Feel free to download that app and watch them. And M, tell us
Mm-hmm.
why you should watch Mupo and Friends.
Well, here exclusively on Mupo and Friends, we have celebrities come on who share with us things that they don't share anywhere else, which is really, really cool. And of course, we just want to say thank you for joining us today, where we love to bring you guys celebrities and entrepreneurs you guys all want to know about.
And don't forget, we have an app on Android and iOS.
This is true. And if you haven't downloaded the app yet, please make sure you do that right. Well, not right now, but right after Mupo and Friends.
And we're also on Roku, Fire Stick, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're on every social media platform.
This is really true. And we are growing quite quickly, which is so exciting. So I'm going to say it again. If you haven't downloaded that app yet, make sure you do it. It's Mupo Entertainment on Android, iOS, Roku, YouTube, and Fire Stick.
And
So
it's
much.
free.
And it's free, which is super cool. I mean, who doesn't love free, right? So, Michelle, the question of the week, did you have a Mupo awesome week?
I did. I woke up today very grateful that I woke up. How about you?
Same, actually the same. So,
Yeah, I'm very
great day.
fortunate, even though we had a little technical difficulties with the Zoom, Lord knows why. But we're going to
That's all
take a quick
good.
commercial break and we'll be right back with our special guest.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mupo and Friends. And our special guest today is an award winning keynote speaker, business coach, executive coach, corporate trainer, and podcast of the year recipient. He speaks and coaches at events all over the world, helping to elevate businesses and entrepreneurs to achieve their true potential. He is also the author of You Were Born to Fly, Be Original, Be the Best You, and his latest book, The Making of a Millionaire Mind. Please welcome Daniel Gomez. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Woo! Hello,
Hey,
Em, and
Daniel.
man, Michelle, I'm excited to be here on Mupo Entertainment TV. I feel like a rock star today. I don't know what to say, but thank you for having me, ladies.
We only have rock stars on Mupo and Friends. You know it. You know it. So we're going to
Woo!
jump right in because I'm excited and I have a lot. We have a lot of questions to ask you. So, what was a turning point in going from needing inspiration to realizing that, your call was to inspire others?
I think spending almost 20 years in the automotive industry, I always loved to pour into people. And even though I ran a Chevrolet dealership, I didn't do the sales meetings out of being an insecure leader. I did it because I really love to just train and motivate our sales team. We had 100 employees through the Chevrolet dealership. And I think there's always a preparation you're not even aware of sometimes going on in your life. Then fast forward almost 6 years later, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Mm.
And I had to make a decision as a man. Was I going to hire somebody to take care of her? Or was I going to take care of her myself? Because she'd made a decision to have a double mastectomy and then she got depressed on me. And I think when all this was transpiring, I resigned to take care of my wife. And I really was having the plans of going back to the automotive industry. And then I got this idea, right, that just dropped to me when I was getting dressed for an interview. And I felt like God just said, I want you to be a motivational speaker. How ridiculous that sounds. That's exactly the way it went down, Michelle. And I just started crying, right? Because I found this old email. I used to go to, with Chevrolet, I would go give awards to these kids, these high school students. And I remember just getting this email that said, who is this car guy? Who is he? And I was like, oh, what did I do, right? My son runs around the house yelling and screaming. He looks in the mirror. He tells himself he loves himself. He believes in himself. He puts on the Chevrolet cap. Tells that car guy, I said, thank you. He changed my son's life. He's never been the same. He believes in himself now.
Oh,
And I just cried when I read it. And I just was crazy enough to believe that idea that God gave me. And that was a turning point. That was as crazy as it sounds and far-fetched. I just didn't have an idea of how to become a motivational speaker because that's how our business started. And I just acted on what God put in my heart and I went forward. And that was a turning point because I think at that moment when I looked in the mirror, Michelle and them, that for the first time in my life, because I didn't have all the busyness of the car business of 100 employees and right, we weren't going out with friends and family because my wife had a double mastectomy. So we were home
Sure.
pretty much for 3 months straight. Like you start to look in the mirror and you start to like self-assess who Daniel Gomez is. And I'm like, I don't like this guy in the mirror. And it just really made me go deep inside myself. And I had to inspire myself, right? Because so many people, men, women, we bury all the shame, we bury all the guilt, all the crap inside of us, and we don't deal with it. And when you don't do nothing but look in the mirror and think, I'll tell you what, it comes up because it was just one of those things that I never realized I had. I never realized I had so much pain in myself, right? And some of it was self-inflicted, but some of it was just people that hurt you along the way and just family members, friendships, situations that arise in life. And it's easier to drink a beer than to deal with it sometimes. And I think unfortunately, that was the choices I made for a couple of years in my life.
Got goosebumps on that one. So I have to ask, what is the business mindset?
Well, the business mindset is this. I think one of the things that when I came out, right, as crazy as it sounded, you're going to be a motivational speaker. I said, okay, right. I had 100 employees. I knew what it was like to run multi-million-dollar corporations. I knew what it was like to turn businesses around because I've done it over and over again. So when I came out, I didn't realize it, but my business mind started taking off. And people were saying, how are you doing this? Right. My first year out, just straight up speaking, that's all I did was I made over 100,000 as a motivational speaker, which is, I thought everybody was doing it because I just didn't know any better. I didn't know that many people. And, but what I realized is the business mindset is totally opposite of the training that I do. I do a training for entrepreneurs called Kill the Employee Mindset, because so many entrepreneurs come out, they leave the 9 to 5, they get stuck here in entrepreneurship and they think they've made it. They're at Starbucks drinking coffee. They're just playing around on their phones and on social media posting. And then it's like, okay, but they never transfer over to the next level of really becoming a successful businessman or woman. And you have to develop that business mindset. And I think the biggest hindrance is that when you're an employee, right, you have an employee mindset, the employees expect AT&T to pay for their training. The employees expect their work to pay for their training, their organization. And most of them, when it comes over here, they never invest in themselves. So I think the number one key in really developing the business mindset is really making that investment that you could make. And the best investment is in yourself. And most people don't do it. You'd be surprised how many people don't do it. And they think that they buy one course or do one thing and, oh, I'll be set for the rest of my life. And I'm like, if that's your thought process, I hate to tell you, but you're going to invest another 50, 60, 100,000, whatever it is, depending on how high you want to go up the ladder.
Yeah, it's so true, because I'm from the automobile industry as well, though it's Toyota. And I got to tell you, I invested in myself, and that's why no one can top me on cold calling. No one. I do over 300 calls a day easily, and it's not a problem. But the thing is that I use that in my everyday life. And how is the best way for you to actually sell yourself?
Well, the best way to sell yourself would just be you. I think so many times, in my new book, right, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, I was going through a rough time, because even though you don't want to compare yourself, sometimes those insecurities rise up, and it happens. And I remember God put this in my heart. He goes, Daniel, does a Rolls Royce compare itself to a Chevrolet? I was like, well, no. Does a Rolls Royce compare itself to a Toyota? Well, no. He goes, well, Daniel, does a Rolls Royce compare itself to a Lexus or a Mercedes? I said, well, no, God, it's a Rolls Royce. So then why are you comparing yourself?
Amen. That is so good.
And the moment you start seeing yourself as that Rolls Royce, that you're unique, that you don't need a commercial to sell yourself, that you're so amazing that when you walk in your uniqueness, in your own gift that we all have, there's no reason to compare yourself. And I think for me, that was really the anchor that I've used this past year and a half, because it's easy to get caught up in the circle of social media, and then your insecurities come up, or somebody has a big win, and instead of celebrating them, you get jealous and envious. I was guilty of that 3 or 4 years ago. And it's really allowing myself to mature into that and say, you know what? What about this, Em? What if you weren't meant to fit in? What if you weren't meant to fit in, Michelle? That there's enough, right? There's enough of this. It's a different.
I'm
It's a
glad
different
I don't
flavor.
fit in. I'm so glad I don't fit in.
And sometimes we try so hard to fit in that, no, just be. I think for me, what really helped me excel was just finally, we say it at a shallow level, right? We say it at a shallow level. I don't care what people think, but deep inside you do. And I think for me, the true freedom came about maybe less than a year ago. I would say about a year ago, maybe a little bit less, is that when I really said, you know, I really don't care what people think, because I'm not supposed to fit in with the masses. I'm myself. And I was just observing that the other day, right? And I'm not a big Instagram person. I got there because some of the people that we've met, right, through some of these last 18 months of business, right? So I hang out there, but my big following's on LinkedIn. I have 15,000 followers on LinkedIn and Facebook. But I say that because I like, you go to IG and everybody has the feeds, the reels, and they all look the same. Everybody now is going to little cartoons with the green and the blue. And it's like, you got to stand out and be different. You got to find a way to not be like everybody else. And I think so many times we just follow what everybody else is doing, when sometimes it's not the best solution for ourselves. And I think that that's what's helped Daniel go, right? I've only been in business. We've entered our 5th year of business. So for like 4 years and 3 months that we've really been in business. And we've already excelled what businesses have been in for 10 years, right? And why? Because of, first of all, God's grace. But I just walked in who Daniel Gomez inspires in is. And to answer your question, you just got to be who you were created to be.
I
That's
love it.
awesome. Great segue to my next question is why do businesses fail the first year? And 90% of them that survive fail after the 5 years.
Well, it goes back to right. The reason they fail is because they operate in that employee mindset. Like they do not invest. They don't take the risk on themselves. They don't make that bet on themselves. And because you don't bet on yourself, we expect Michelle to invest in us. We expect them to bet on us. And no, you got to bet on yourself. If you don't bet on yourself, how's anybody going to bet on you? If you don't take that risk on yourself, how's anybody going to take that risk on you? So you don't bet on yourself, right? You operate and you make decisions based on an employee. You see everything as a cost instead of seeing everything as an investment in you, right? An employee thinks cost. Oh, it's going to cost me this. No, this is an investment I'm going to make in myself. And guess what? I'm going to get the return on investment, the ROI down the road. And they don't think that way. So when they don't think that way, you attract the wrong things, right? It's all about the energy we put out also. And what I mean by that is, right, if you put out, when we realize that all of us on this call, all of us on the show right now, we're magnets and we attract who we are. So if you're operating from that employee mindset, you think everything is a cost, you're going to attract the wrong people. You're going to attract the wrong opportunities. In return, the customers you attract, because you're a cheap butt, right? You're being a cheap ass to say, well, guess what? You're going to attract that type of client that's going to put you out of business. And next thing you know, it's just a negative whole business cycle. There's no strategies. There's no nothing. There's no process. And on the opposite side is when you really, you make it past that, right? And then you're able to go to 2 or 3 years. Most people just, right, they get the profits and then they spend them because they think that it's their personal, right, their personal check. No, you got to reinvest in your business. So to answer the first question, the first year they fail, I believe, because, well, not I believe, but I know they think like employees. Once they pass that year mark, start making a little bit of money, right? Like I said, I made 100,000 the first year. The second year we made 150, and then we just exploded. But I invested in myself. I spent another $3,000 on our stages for Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. I did another book, and all these things add up, all these things, all these investments. And I think to date, I've probably invested over 150,000 easily, maybe 200,000 into ourselves. But that's right. That's how you get the revenue, the products, the services. And most people don't think that way because they're still stuck in that employee mindset, Em. So instead of reinvesting their profits, they spend them.
So true. I mean, you have like wherever I am, I look at it as this is my business and I make the best of it and I make it happen. Like you have to look at everything, whether it's an MLM, whether it's, you have a brick and mortar store. You have to look at yourself as if you have a brick and mortar store, even if you don't. Get up every morning, be grateful who you are. I agree with you 100%, Daniel. I mean, it's crazy how the world is, but you know, how do you actually see good in a tough challenge when somebody wants to, just go to work just because they feel they have a job? You know what I mean? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Tell the audience.
Well, the thing is this: you have to have resiliency. A good example, right? A good story. It just happened to me. It just happened to me this past Sunday on Father's Day. I've been wanting a new boat, so we bought a new boat here about a month ago and took it out a couple of times. This was the third time we took it out to Father's Day. And to save time, I said to my wife, you know what? Let's go launch off this different ramp at the lake. So we went. There was no boat. There was no boat dock. I'm like, oh shit, there's no boat dock. I said, well, I'm observing to try to learn what they do. And I said, okay, well, let's just try it. So we launched. I knew in my heart we shouldn't have launched the boat. We launched the boat anyways. So to make a long story short, 5 minutes later, plack, you heard a loud, I'm like, oh shit, right? And my heart just sunk. New boat, $150,000. The old Daniel wanted to come up. I was like, man, I was fighting that urge to get upset to. So we kind of turn around and I'm looking back and I'm like, I told my wife, we just need to go and get the boat out of the ramp, get the boat out of the water. Let's just go. I said, because when we come back, I'm not gonna be able to enjoy the day because I don't know how I was in a situation I didn't know. So I told my son-in-law, throw the keys across, right? I went up to the ledge of the boat ramp. We threw the keys like 30 feet. I got off, I swam because I'm the only one that knows how to back up the boat. So by God's grace, we got the boat out and take it. I'm thinking like, man, my boat has a big scratch. I messed up my prop. Like it was loud. Well, we take the boat out of it. And my son-in-law goes, there's no scratch. I'm like, wow. Right. I'm like, praise God. I got on my hands and knees, said, thank you, God. Right. Cause I was really worried about it. The prop did get damaged. It wasn't so bad. And I really wanted to go home. I wanted to have my tail between my legs and give up. Right. I was like, you know what? It's Father's Day. Let's just go have lunch. And we made an effort. And I think that's where most entrepreneurs, most business people quit right there. They quit halfway because shit doesn't go their way. Things don't go their way. They get stuck in their feelings. They focus on the bad. And me, I was like, I really was. Thank you, God, that I don't have to do an insurance claim, that my boat is not scratched. Yes, right? I said, it's just a prop. I'll pay $600, $800 for the prop. No biggie, right? So on the way up there, but take it in mind, I'm still fighting that. Like I was mad at myself because, Danny, you should have known better, but I was put in a situation I had never been in before. I've been boating for 11, 12 years. Never once have I launched where there was not a boat dock, right? Because the boat dock's where you tie your boat after you launch it. But I tried it, right? I said, well, we're going back. I said, well, let's just go back and have lunch. And then I said, you know what? Screw this. No, we're not. We came to go to the lake. We're at the lake. We're going to go around the other side, go off where we normally launch, and we're going to have a great day. And I persevered, didn't get mad at my wife, didn't take it out on anybody else. I owned it. I sucked it up. And guess what? We had a great, great day. My grandson had a great time. My baby grandson, 3 years old. But it was the leader's choice, me, the leader of the business, me, the leader that day. And many times we hit adversities like that and we focus on what's bad, right? We focus, oh, the prop's damaged. Oh, the prop's going to cost me $800, right? It is what it is. It's a chalk up. That's learning from your failures. That's learning forward and not letting the day mess you up. But so many people, we allow our business situations, our circumstances to control us instead of controlling them. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't easy because, like I said, I just bought this boat less than a month ago, brand new, $100,000. And I don't say, I give the price because of point of reference, because I really wanted to beat myself up, right? My old boat, I didn't care because it was like, it was already, it is what it is. But the point is this, is that you choose what you focus on. And that day, that moment, I had a chance to focus on the prop, focus on the fact that I wanted to talk bad to myself because I should have known better. But it's like, hey, I tried something new. I screwed up. I own it. The boat's not scratched. Praise God, right? That's my good point. And my family's with me. It's Father's Day. We're going to make a day of it. And you know what? We ended up having an amazing day, got back. My son took me to dinner for Father's Day. But I chose to make the decisions. And so many times we hit that adversity and we're not resilient enough and we stop halfway. And guess what? The blessing of business is right on the other side of that adversity. And most people never taste it because they turn back around.
What a great story. Love it. So tell me, do you have any tricks on how to open up your mindset?
Oh, yeah, it's easy. Don't laugh at me, right? In my book, The Millionaire Mind, I gave you a lot of it. I mean, it's really in the book and the course, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. Go to the makingsofamillionairemind.com right now. The course, I walk you through exercises that I do every single day.
Mhm.
Every day. The mistake that people make is this, is Michelle and M. If we can have the most beautiful house, right? We just put St. Augustine grass. We spend thousands of dollars on landscaping. It looks amazing. But what happens if we don't maintain that? Weeds are going to grow.
Yeah.
Yep.
The flowers are going to die because we don't water them. We don't maintain it. And the mistake that I see that so many young entrepreneurs make, and even some seasoned ones, is they get comfortable and they stop doing the very things that they did to get to where they're at.
Mm.
So the first key I'll say to your question is, don't stop doing what got you there. So many people stop doing what got them to that level of success.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is this, is that, right? And I share this in my book and I talk about it a lot in the course, even more in depth, is that I put okay, I'll ask you this question, Em. What do you think my vision board is?
Oh, that's a good question. Your vision, what is your vision board?
What do you think it is? Where do you think I have it placed?
You haven't or have?
What do you think I have it at? I have it. What do you think it
Where
is
do
in my
you think?
home?
Wherever you can see it every single day and you can't avoid it.
By your bed.
In the bathroom, over the toilet,
Oh.
over the urinal. But there's a reason for it.
That's so good.
The first 15 to 20 minutes as a human being that we wake up, we're still in theta stage, right? THETA, theta stage. We're in dream state. Why do I bring that up? Because that's when you're most programmable as an adult. As a child, from the age of 0 to the age of 6, your brainwaves are in theta stage.
Wow.
That's how you develop your subconscious mind. Because a baby doesn't have a subconscious because they have no memory bank yet, right? There's nothing in their memory. So their first 6 years, they live it in theta, and that's how they take in all the stuff from their environment, all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the behaviors. Well, as adults, when we wake up, the first 15 to 20 minutes, we're in theta stage. So guess what? When you wake up, you're halfway asleep. We all got to urinate usually in the morning. I see that and it holds me accountable. So right then and there, I take in the pictures of the Rolls Royce. I take in the picture of my dream house. I take in the picture of my just the business that I want to have, right? Just different affirmations and pictures that I put on there because you absorb it quicker. And I've been doing that probably for I've been very intentional for the last 4 years. When we bought this house, we had packed up our vision boards and my wife goes, Dan, I was like, what? She goes, check this out. Like, what? Because the vision boards were packed up for like 3 months. She goes, look. I was like, what? I didn't. She goes, that's our kitchen. And I'm like, oh, wow, it is. And then I looked at my vision board. I said, look, that's our driveway, right? Because I pictured a horseshoe driveway with lights around it. I didn't even realize it had there. Then the pool in the back had the pool. Like 8 things from our vision board were in this house that we bought.
That's so beautiful.
Amazing.
But people don't realize that, right? The audience, you need to write this down. The dominant pictures in our head attract us to our future. Let me say it again. The dominant pictures in our head attract us to our future. But we're not intentional on putting the right pictures in front of us. And the thing is this, is marketers know that. Bud Light knows that. Why do you think Bud Light has commercials every 15 minutes? Because they know if they can get inside your head, the likelihood of you buying a Bud Light, you're going to do it. They're not dumb. They spend millions of dollars researching this. Why? Because if they can put that picture in your subconscious mind, you're going to play that record over and over, and the likelihood of you buying that or anything else. And people, you need to understand that it's a true fact, right? the dominant pictures that we take in are going to draw us to our future. So get your vision board, put it over your urinal, put it over your toilet. And I promise you get your top tier, right? Whatever you want. Like for me, I have some scriptures. I have pictures of a house. I have some other stuff. And I have like just some business stuff that I have on there, some goals that I have. And you attract it, but you gotta be intentional about it. And most people, they're not that intentional, and they get comfortable.
I've completed 4 of them already. So, and it's funny, this latest one I did, I kept saying I wanted an app. I wanted an app. We got an app. It's like we want a paper magazine. We're getting a print magazine now that's coming out instead of the digital. We have both, but I mean, it's just you have to seriously, program it in your brain. It's true. And can you also tell us how, because you were obviously in the sales business, when you have someone that makes up excuses, how do you deal with it? Like, how do you get them to break those excuses? Because when someone comes up to me and says they have an excuse, I'm like, I don't care. And I just say, I just don't care.
Well, I think people, so I'll address it from both ends, right? From me, the sales professional, to say in this role, and then the buyer, you. I think the buyer, you, Michelle, is not gonna, right? If I'm going to meet with you, I better bring enthusiasm. I better bring energy, because before you buy any product, before you buy any service, you're buying Daniel Gomez Inspires. And if you don't like me, you're not going to buy from me. But most people walk into these meetings, most people walk into these presentations, they're not even shaved. They look half-assed. They look like they rolled out of bed. They have crusties in their eyes. They're not going to buy you. You're the product. And the thing is that when you show up with the enthusiasm as a man or woman, you have that smile, right? I mean, nowadays, people don't even smile, but think about it. I travel so much, and the funniest things is in airports, everybody looks mad at an airport. And on purpose, I walk through the airport smiling, right? Because next thing you know, everybody's smiling because everybody's so mad at the darn airports.
It's a magnet.
Yeah. So you got to smile. You got to really bring that energy, that enthusiasm. I'm not saying be loud, but if you're not passionate, if you don't believe that what you have, that product or service, is really of value, your prospect can sense that, your customer can sense that. And that's why, like, I'm so passionate about the makings of a Millionaire Mind, because this is the shit. This wisdom is what I lived through, right? I've cried. I've broken wine glasses. I've beat up recycle bins, because when you're growing, it hurts, right? Everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants the $1 million house. Everybody wants the next level of life. And I get it, right? People say, well, I don't want to be a millionaire. Well, great. Well, what if your business could generate another $250,000 in revenue? Wouldn't that help you at least? Yeah. Don't be ignorant, right? Maybe you don't want to be that millionaire. I get it. But $100,000 to any bottom line of a business, I'll tell you what, it's going to help your business. But the things that I talk about are things that I've been through, because it's not easy when you're growing. You got to face those demons. You got to face your limitations. So many times, what's standing between me and the future I want, it's just me. It's not Michelle. So when somebody gives you excuses, right? Maybe they don't see the belief in the product or service that you have. If you don't believe in this, they're not going to believe in you. If you don't believe in that, they're not going to believe in you. So I know the course that I bring, it brings value, because it's what took me from a nobody in the speaking and coaching world. Now we're already generating millions this year, right? I mean, we've grown tremendously, but I say that because of this, because I was intentional. I dealt with the real issues in my business, which was me, because I'm the lid, right? I'm the limitations of it. And I just believed for more. And sometimes this is one thing that I can say why people in sales mess up. They listen to the excuses because they don't believe it for themselves, Michelle. They don't believe it for themselves, then.
I love it. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
And we are back with Daniel Gomez. And so, Daniel, do you have a particular morning routine?
Oh yes, I live by it, and there's 7 days a week. Of course, I do it 5 days. I don't do it 7 days. I don't. I'm not gonna lie to your audience, but I do it 5 days. And this is my routine. I mentioned I mentioned the urinal or toilet. Like this guy's crazy, right? But in all seriousness, I know I have 20 minutes. I wake up, urinate, do my vision board. I write. So when we bought our new house, I literally have 40 affirmations on my bathroom mirror. And my wife goes, "Are you really gonna leave it like that?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you know how tacky that looks?" I'm like, "Well, that tacky exercise is what pays for this house, so it's staying up there." But that's how intentional I am. So I wake up, look at my vision board. You got to look right when you're in your bathroom brushing your teeth. I say my 40 affirmations every single morning. That takes me like 15 to 20 minutes, that whole part of it. And then I go into prayer and meditation for about the next 45 minutes. And I just spend time with God to get the wisdom that I need for the day. After I'm done with that, I do a hypnosis to reprogram my mind to think differently. And I have different hypnosises that I listen to that lasts about 30 minutes. And then I'll usually by that time my trainer will be here. It'll be 6:30. So Reggie comes over and I work out about 4 or 5 times a week. And right, I'm 48 years old. One of the best things I ever did was hire a trainer. And when I'm done with the training, I'll kind of unwind after that. And then for the next 20 minutes, I'll watch just something educational on YouTube, or I'll study something on a book. And that's pretty much my morning routine. So for the first 20 minutes, affirmations, vision board. After that, 45 minutes, I do prayer and meditation. After that, 30 minutes of hypnosis, just reprogramming my mindset that way. Then after that, about 45 minutes to an hour of working out. And then another 20 minutes of studying, reading, or doing something of that extent. And then by that time, I usually wake up at 4 o'clock. So by that time, it's already 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'm ready to do my day and get the morning going. So it's crucial. And the people say, do morning routines really work? Yeah, they do, because it helps you to practice self-discipline. And to go back, one of the questions you asked earlier, right? A lot of these small businesses or entrepreneurs, even businesses, fail because there's no self-discipline by the leader, by the owner. And morning routines give you that self-discipline that one needs. And it's crucial. And for me, I think the most important part for me is right when I don't have my God time. That's where I kind of really feel that, like, oh man, I need that. Because honestly, all the strategies that we have, all the wisdom that we have, the book idea, I would have never came up with that. I mean, we've already done tremendous. We've been selling 3 books on Amazon a day of the makings of a millionaire mind, but it came from spending time in prayer with God. So you definitely need a morning routine if you're listening to the show.
But there's a story about that I heard. So tell us about that story, how you actually came up with the Millionaire Mind.
Well, it was amazing. It's never easy to talk about money. And I think when I started the book, it was going the wrong way. And me and my editor just kind of like, she goes, I didn't get the file. I was like, I sent it, right? And I said, well, you know what? Maybe it's not meant to be. So I stopped it. I was in Palm Springs at the time at a conference. I said, we'll just get together on it again. And I stopped writing it because honestly, there was a part of me, Michelle, that I felt like an imposter, right? Who am I to write a book about this, right? I could already sense some of the backlash or whatever. So I didn't write anything. And then my wife goes, hey, God says, when are you going to finish your book? And okay. I said, I guess he really does want me to do this. And it was still raw, right? We didn't have none of the designs yet. So I said, well, I'll start writing it here in the holidays this past year. And started writing it, got stuck, got frustrated. And I just said, well, I was doing it. That next month, we were going to Atlanta. I was speaking on stage with John Maxwell. So day one, John Maxwell spoke, Dave Meltzer, Jesse Eisler from the Atlanta Hawks, the owner, and then Daniel Gomez. And I'm like, well, who's Daniel Gomez? Right? So I'm a keynote speaker. I'm a professional keynote speaker, but I've never spoken on stage with heavy hitters like that. But I say that because when I got on stage, God said, just speak. I'm going to speak through you. And next thing you know, we have all these people at our vendors table, Michelle and Em, and we sold out of my book, You Were Born to Fly. We had taken like 50 copies. We sold out. And my assistant goes, what are we going to do? We don't have anything else to sell. We had another day. I said, well, it was a good day. Let's just chalk it up. She goes, you know what? we had a mock-up of our book. It wasn't written yet. We just had a mock-up, a book cover. She goes, we're going to pre-sell your book. So that forced me to finish the book. That forced me to
Oh my
come
God,
back and
goosebumps.
just really be on it. And I can tell you, I put the pressure on myself to not just do the book, but we were doing the course simultaneously. But it's amazing when you really focus on something. And I hate owing people anything. And because I knew that we had like, at that time, we had like 50 something pre-orders. And I was like, man, but I just really got intentional on listening to God. Help me. I really need, like, right. Of course I had the wisdom that I had, but just how to package everything together where it's, because I didn't want to just do another book, right? I think too many people do books they don't have any value. And I really wanted to deliver, because this is going to be our flagship product, right? The makings of a millionaire mind.com. That's our flagship book, our flagship course that's really going to right? It's going to transform and impact people's lives and businesses. And because of that intentionality, we finished it. We've sold hundreds and hundreds of copies. We're almost at 1,000 copies sold already in less than a month. And it's been a phenomenal ride. Our course has been doing amazing. And it's just really seeing the transformation and the impact that it's making in people's lives. So to somebody out there who has a book inside of them, or you're just scared to do it, you bring more value than you realize, listeners. If you're watching this, listen to me. You bring more value. So stop undervaluing yourself, because you have something of value inside of you. People need it. Don't just do something just to do it. Do it because you want to help people. And I can tell you that I expected the book to do well. I got my commissions report today from Amazon, KDP. I was like, that I made more in this first couple of months than I did, I think, all my books combined the last 2 years. It's been good. I'm happy because people are being helped, and it brings me joy, right? The money definitely helps, but it's just the lives that are being impacted and are amazing.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so I want to know, how do you approach someone who doesn't believe in God or a creator?
Well, I think the thing is they need to see God in you. I think so many times people are turned off by religion. I never talk about religion, right? People say, well, I'm not big into religion. I say, great, me neither. Like, huh? Yeah, I'm not I hate religion. They're like, you do? You love God? I'm like, yeah, God's not religion. So I think it's right, not be confrontational. But I think from my experience, like my son, I think it just, when my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, it really hurt me, because at that time I knew we needed God even more, because I had swayed away from God. And I told my son, hey, let's go to this men's group. And we went to this men's group a couple of times, and they just happened to call on him, and they did some exercise. And he said, the answer he gave, it really broke my heart. I wanted to be mad at him. I think that was just the human being, like the carnal man in me. Because he said, well, I don't know if I believe in God. And as I listened to what he said, I was like thinking, like, where did this nonsense come from? Like, how, like, what? Like, right? Like, but then as I really listened, God just told me, shut up. And I listened to his heart. I realized that he didn't see God in me. How can he believe in God if he can't even see God in his father? And I think that so many people try to convince people of God, and you can't convince people of God. If they can't see God in you, then that's maybe the first roadblock to people wanting to know who God is. Because if you're no different, and right, no one's perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but I can tell you, for the most part, every single day I live and breathe what God puts in my heart to try to help people and to really try to be loving and caring. And I know sometimes people try to use that reverse psychology, and they'll say things like, well, I thought you were a Christian. I'm like, yeah, but even Jesus got mad, right? And an example of that is in business, right? We don't give refunds on our live events. And people say, well, where's my I want a refund. I'm like, there's no refunds. I mean, you paid for the ticket. We paid for the meals. Guess what? You can come to the next one. And people say, okay, great, right? You have that pretty much 95%, but you do have that 1 or 2% that like, well, I thought you were a Christian. I'm like, it's not about being a Christian. It's about, we made the investment in this event. We're paying for things, and nobody gives you refunds on live events. I mean, it's just the way it is sometimes. But people try to use cards like that. So you got to use wisdom, right? You got to use wisdom, because people will try to throw you under the bus, or right. And it's okay, because But the thing is, you can't get upset about it. You just got to use wisdom again to understand that all they're trying to do is maybe bring out the bad in you to show you. See, I knew you weren't. I knew you were that. But no, just you learn. And now, in with this, you learn as you're that representation, that ambassador for God. When people make comments on you, like on LinkedIn, and you just ignore them, they get more mad because they're just unhappy with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people see that you don't respond. They're like, you know what? I admire that you didn't even say anything. I'm like, for what? It's like, some things ain't worth arguing for, right? Be wise, right? Lose the battle, but win the war.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you think people limit their beliefs, Daniel?
They don't do it on purpose. I think so many times, I was with a client before I came on here, and they're really, really 90% of us make decisions based as the kid we were. They don't go, everybody. I mean, there's so many, how can I say it, right? There's so much BS out there right now with coaches and trainers, and they do this, but at the end of the day, your memory bank's your memory bank. All your memories are still stuck in you, right? All your memories are still there. And I say that because we make decisions based on the kids that we were. So if you were that child that was, right, if you were never that child that was affirmed by your mom or your dad, you were never told that you're amazing, that I love you, that messes with your self-confidence, that messes with your self-esteem, and definitely tarnishes your self-image. So in return, that locks your belief system. And I've realized through my business and executive coaching with our Shield of Faith, as we do this across the country, across the world, is that most people, their belief system was hindered, damaged, because their self-image was damaged by their mom or dad, and they never had the belief in them. Or you have someone that maybe got married at a young age, you got a husband or wife, and it happens both ways, right? Either the husband tells the wife or the wife tells the husband, right? You ain't worth anything. You're not a good mother. You're not a good father. Why did I marry you? And if you hear that through a marriage for, year after year, for 3 or 4 years, I mean, you start to believe that. So it doesn't happen overnight where it unlocks. You have to go back and, like I said, when I said I broke wine glasses and I beat up a recycle bin, I mean, I meant it, because I had to overcome some of those belief systems myself to get to where I am today. And most people, one of the things that hinders them is that they don't let go of those old friendships, that old identity. And for me, right, to really unlock my belief system is I just sold, right? I mentioned it. I bought a new boat, but I sold my Harley. I tried to sell my Harley before, it didn't work, but that's not right. For me, I've had, I don't know, 8 Harleys. I've been riding since 2003, but that identity is not who Daniel is anymore, right? But why for me? Because there's not good memories there sometimes for me, right? Because that's not who I am anymore. So why would I keep that identity that no longer serves me alive, when I have the choice by God's grace to sell the bike and become even more of who I am now? And that helps me to unlock my belief system, because now I'm operating as the $1 million man Daniel Gomez inspires, right? Instead of that old biker dude that I was.
So good. So good. So what do you mean by growth is intentional?
Well, you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional to invest in yourself, right? There's 3 types of growth. You have spiritual growth. You got to study the Bible, spend time with God, first of all. And when you do that, right? First is spiritual growth. Then you got your mental growth. Well, after you do the spiritual side, the mental side is the resilience that I was talking about. The right, growing your mindset to believe more, dream more for yourself. And once you get the mindset right, that resiliency, well, then the physical comes into play, where you got to take care of your physical body. Now you're resilient. You can go work out. And those 3 things you always have to be growing in. You have to be intentional on reading the Bible, spending time with God. You got to be intentional on working on your mental, studying books, listening to podcasts like Mupo Entertainment to learn wisdom like this. And then the 4th thing is you need the physical aspect, that so you don't get tired. That way you can push through those days where I don't work a lot, but there are days where I do travel, and then you put in those 14, 16-hour days. We were in Hawaii a couple of months ago, And it was hard because it was a different time zone, but you got to keep going, right? You can't get tired. You got to suck it up, but you got to have the physical, yeah, you got to have the mental and you got to have the physical aspect of being able to do that. And because we keep it together, that trip was very profitable for us, but you have to work on those 3 things: spiritual, mental, and then the physical aspect. Because when you're intentional, you spend time with God even when you're tired. When you're intentional, you listen to Mupo Entertainment podcasts even though you're tired. And you choose that instead of listening to radio that doesn't add any value to you. So many times we listen to junk music for what? It doesn't add value to you, right? Especially in the morning. And then third, instead of going to the gym, you got to be intentional on that. Instead of eating that cupcake or having that big old sweet bowl of cereal, right, for breakfast, you have to be intentional on that. And that's part of being just growing yourself all around as a human being.
I love that. We're going to take a quick commercial break, guys, and we're going to be right back.
Back with the amazing Daniel Gomez. So Daniel, how do you keep from allowing others to define you?
That's easy. I'm a Rolls Royce.
I love it.
It's amazing.
I'm a Rolls Royce, right? It's just people try to define you when they're insecure. People try to define you when they're not happy. People try to define you when they're not defined.
Mm.
And I've just learned that when somebody tries to project their insecurities on you, you don't have to receive it. And a great sign of that, right, is criticism. You have to embrace criticism, right? Because people will criticize what they can't duplicate. Let me say again, people will criticize what they can't duplicate.
I love that.
Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, you have to be strong enough and have that thick skin like a rhino and not let it bother you. But most people, when that happens, their own insecurities come out and they react to the situation, and it's like, why even bother, right? So I've learned not to react to situations, and it is what it is. It's taken a lot of work. I know Em asked me earlier, right? You have to be intentional about it, but that's why so many people implode, because when they get to a certain level of success, they can't handle it. And then since they're operating in their own insecurities, they react to every situation when it's not every situation for them to react to. But in their immaturity, they do that. So when somebody tries to define you, it's on them, not on me, because I know who I am. And above that, I'm a badass Rolls Royce, but I'm also a child of the Most High God.
I love it.
So good. And so I want to know, what led you to writing You Were Born to Fly?
That moment when I became a speaker, everybody says you need a book as a speaker. And I remember going to John Maxwell. I got certified at the JMT in Orlando, the international conference. And it was pretty awesome. I met this guy. He was about to release his book. First author I've ever met in person. And I didn't even voice it. That's how powerful you are as a human being. I thought to myself, how amazing would it be to be an author? Like, how awesome would it be, right? Like, I was like starstruck, and he wasn't even a star. He just was an author because I had never met one. But I think that was the first time I really put myself in that speaker, author, trainer environment. And I flew back to San Antonio from Orlando, and I was just like, wow. And next thing you know, all these ideas from books started coming around. And then the price came out. I was like, well, forget it, right? I can't afford it. That employee mindset came out. I can't afford to write a book. And then I had to grow through that. And the best thing I ever did was write You Were Born to Fly, because this book has really just helped establish me as a speaker. And I mean, we still sell a lot of these books, and it's really a good book on personal development, self-leadership. But I think the first time I was really challenged to grow myself as a human being was when I wrote my first book, because I didn't want to sabotage myself and not write it, but I was able to push through and got it done. But it took a lot of intentionality and effort And now it's like, right now we do book publishing with DG Enterprises. So it's been amazing how far God's brought us in these past 4.5 years.
And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with our special guest.
And we are back with Daniel Gomez, and I want to know what has been your biggest setback and how did you bounce back from it?
Man, that's a hard question. For me, my biggest setback has been myself. When I tried to commit suicide when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
You always wonder why you're going to live. And I always wondered that. I have a scar that goes from the top of my abdominal to the bottom of my midsection. And I shot myself 18 years old, and I lived through it. 4 hours it took me to get to the hospital. And the odds of somebody getting shot and living through it, it's 4 hours later is pretty unheard of. So I think for me, it was really overcoming the scar that I have, because it was regret that I had for myself that I carried for so many years, until one day God says, why don't you stop seeing that scar as a bad thing and really see it as a scar of grace, that my grace kept you alive. And I think when I did that mindset shift in me, it helped me to bounce back. But I'll tell you, from the age of 18 to like the age of 24, 25, it took some mindset work to get over it, because I would see in it and I would be like, say to myself, how stupid could you be? Right. I carried that with me until God finally released me of that. And now it's like, it's still the same scar, but I don't say this in a silly way, but I really don't even pay attention to it anymore.
Wow. And what's next for you on the horizon?
Well, just like I said, the Millionaire Mind, the makings of a Millionaire Mind. It's the makings with an S at the end. It's like, we got the book, we got the course that's just launched, and we're going to start doing live events. And my goal is to start putting these live events all around the country and really helping people really develop the makings of a Millionaire Mind, to let them know that they have all the ingredients inside of it. So that's really going to be my big push. Our flagship course right now is, of course, Sticker Shock Speaking Academy, which has been doing amazing for the last 2.5 years. But the makings of a Millionaire Mind, I think it's more for everybody that needs that financial wisdom, that financial savvy, because let's face it, our country's hurting and people don't know how to think. They have the wrong relationship with money. They've never been taught about it, or they just have the wrong belief systems. And I think that that's where my heart is, to really help people, businesses understand that if you can shift yourself, shift your thinking, change your beliefs, change your relationship with money, and change your relationship with yourself, right? Because it's really about the journey of becoming, because I think we all know somebody that got success and then they self-imploded and self-destructed. So the reason I made the course, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, is right to become, right, to have the right approach, the right heart, the right attitude in becoming a millionaire God's way. So you don't self-implode and you don't self-destruct. So you're not that person that gets it in 2020 and then you lose it by 2021. No, that way you can keep it and sustain it. And I think that that's one thing that I've been able to do for decades, is really not just be successful, but elevate every year so often, and then just keep the wealth that we've been able to build and build from that. And I think so many people don't know how to handle that.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the conclusion of our interview with Daniel Gomez.
And we are back with Daniel. And before we wrap things up here, we have one question. If you were to give only one piece of advice, what would it be?
Easy.
Mhm.
Believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You believe it for everybody else, Em. You believe it for everybody else, Michelle. But it's time you believe it for you. God didn't put you here by accident. God didn't put you here by mistake. You're not a mistake. Just because you've made mistakes, I've made many, many mistakes. I have failed over and over. Like I said, I just failed a couple of weeks ago on Father's Day, but it didn't make me a failure. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get up on your feet, get off your hiney, and know that you're watching this right now. You're watching this show for a reason on Mupo Entertainment. Believe in yourself. Believe that those mistakes, believe that those setbacks are just stepping stones to your greatness. Because the moment I got out of my own way and I truly started believing in myself, our business exploded in 2020, 2021, and we're about to double again in 2022. Because when you believe in yourself, you do the impossible. And with God, all things are possible, Em.
That is so amazing and such a
Yeah,
pleasure visiting with you today. I got so much out of it. And please, guys, look for Daniel's podcast, Daniel Gomez Inspires, on apple.com, Spotify, podbean.com, and his YouTube channel, Daniel Gomez Inspires. You can also buy his book, You Were Born to Fly, Be Original, Be the Best You, and his latest book, The Making of a Millionaire Mindset, on Amazon.com. You can also follow, like, and subscribe to Daniel at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Instagram, on Twitter at Daniel Inspires, on Facebook under Daniel Gomez Inspires, on LinkedIn under Daniel-Gomez-3345876, and on his website, www.danielgomezglobal.com and danielgomezspeaker.com. You can also get a free gift of 7 Steps to Fly Daily at www.danielgomezinspires.com/7 steps.
And as always, thank you for tuning into Mupo and Friends, courtesy of Mupo TV. And you could catch this show and many others at www.mupotv.com. That's www.mupotv.com. And you can catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, YouTube, Vimeo, and Facebook. And make sure that you download our apps on Android and iOS.
And this is Emanuela Messina with our host, Michelle Mupo. Until next time.
Have a Mupo awesome week.